Are you overwhelmed by parasites? Do you crave sugar? Are you tired? More than you think you should be. Do you always seem to be sick? We're going to be talking about the 7 warning signs of parasites and how you can fight back. And we're going to be doing it right after this. Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Scott Patton, joined as usual by our other host, Martin Patella, health coach at Life Enthusiast. Hey, Martin, how are you doing today?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
I tell you, I am so proud of you for not shaving the darn thing and letting it bush out.
I let it bush out just for Christmas, just for my grandkids.
That's
they
awesome.
call me Grandpa Scott, but my son calls me Grandpa Santa.
Santa Scott. All right.
Santa
So, okay, parasites. Well, you picked a wonderful topic.
Before we do that, Martin, I always forget to do this at the beginning, and I want to do it at the beginning. After this, we're gonna be on live for half an hour, answer your questions, everything else. But there's lots of things that we cannot say without being banned or censored. Join us on Telegram at t.me/lifeandco, and we'll be able to tell you what we really think and also give you some amazing advice on your health. So let's talk about these things called parasites. And why are they different than bacteria or virus or these other things that we hear about?
Yeah, let's define a parasite. Parasite is something or someone that lives at the expense of the host. And in this case, of course, you're the host, and the parasite is something that's stealing your resources, stealing your food. So in some ways, we have parasites we want. It's called symbiosis, right? Like, for example, we have bacteria in our guts that we want to have there because they belong there. They will help us digest food. But then we can also acquire these riders that come in and hijack the resources that we have available and steal them from us. And we don't enjoy that. I mean, one of the symptoms that you can have is that you're all of a sudden losing weight, no matter how much you eat. That's a typical sign of catching a tapeworm. Tapeworms can go from this long to 3-4 feet long and really go to town on the resources that you make available.
Right. I've seen and heard about, people doing parasite cleanses, and these big, massive things are coming out. And
yeah,
I mean, and it just grosses me right out. But oftentimes I wonder sometimes if people, like I see some people, and it's like they've got an extended belly, right? Is that because their belly is full of stuff that probably shouldn't be there?
Maybe, but maybe not. Like a beer gut could be just inflammation. When you injure the gut, any injury, like if you twist your ankle, you watch it swell up. Well,
Right.
If you injure every single cell of your small intestine, all of them swell. And so all of a sudden you have this, like you look like you swallowed a watermelon.
Right.
It could be just simply inflammatory. And the easiest way to get there is to eat foods that hurt you, like gluten, wheat poisoned by glyphosate, dairy, cow dairy that's been made miserable by homogenization and pasteurization, stuff like that. Those would be more a direct food reaction more than the parasite type of thing.
And if you've got a lot of inflammation and that sort of thing going on, would you be more likely to have parasite? Like, I think we all have parasites all the time, but you end up having like more, like excess is what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah, let's put it this way. Parasites will infect a weak person more likely than a strong person because they don't like to fight hard. So if your inner terrain is richly mineralized, like if you have high zeta potential, lots of minerals in your food, they are less likely to enjoy the terrain. They really don't like, especially if you raise your salt content. Like one of the fun methods of getting rid of parasites is to get into a high salt bath. Like take a
Oh,
couple of cups of Dead Sea
Epsom
salt or
salt.
something like that, and yeah, do high density, especially the high osmotic pressure, right? Like salt, Dead Sea salt or other salts in the bath.
Right.
Yeah, even Epsom salts. There's a cool one. Uh, a cup of Epsom salts, cup of baking soda, a tablespoonful of borax, and a 2 cups of salt.
And away you go. So it
Yeah.
would be easy to do something like that, and all of a sudden you're making life miserable for the parasites,
Yeah.
and you're going to be seeing improvement in your health because you don't have these parasites sucking life
Mhm.
out of you.
Right. Yeah. And so, of course,
Yeah.
there are these short wormy things like rope worms, or the longer whipworms, or the liver fluke. Those are like, I saw a passing of a liver fluke nest, and it looked sort of like vermicelli
Oh,
off of a plate. You know, like they look a lot like these thin pasta, vermicelli style.
no, I'm
And
not going to be
all of
able
a
to eat
sudden,
that.
there they are in the toilet bowl.
Right.
Yeah.
So actually, as you were talking, Martin, you reminded me of something, and that is like, because you said they want a weak, they'll go after weak people more than strong people, right?
Mhm.
And I
Oh yeah.
think we need to understand the nature of nature, right? Like the nature of nature is survival of the fittest. It's, the old bull who's weak is the one that the wolves eat. They don't eat the strong bull, right?
Yeah, they
So they
take the
think,
young ones before they develop because they're easier to take, or the ones that break a leg, or the ones that are tired and can't keep up. Yep, that's
yep.
their food.
So it's the same with us, right? Like if we're not strong, if we're not exercising, if we're not healthy,
Yeah,
then nature just says, well, we got to cull this guy out because he's pulling down the tribe or he's pulling
yeah,
down the
yeah.
species.
And there's this interesting concept, the Red Queen concept, where you actually welcome the challenges because they make you stronger. So
Right.
I'm one of those nutcases who don't wash their vegetables. I like to exercise my immune system. I like to challenge me. Now and then I get diarrhea because I hit something that is kind of violent, but my body knows, oh, we don't want this here, out. And so I have a rapid emptying, and I'm okay with that. And
Right.
because I take a probiotic after, and I will rebuild, and I'm good.
And you're stronger. You remind me actually of a friend of mine who was, I think he was in Africa and it might have been Asia. And there was this beautiful stream, right? And he's with some locals and he says, can I drink this water? And they said, hey, shush. They said, no, we can drink the water, but if you drink it, you're going to be really, really sick.
Right.
Right.
Well, you know the Montezuma challenge for travelers, right? You
Right.
you go to Mexico, they live in it, and they have exercised their inner terrain to cope with it.
Yeah. So Jack Odd has joined us and he has a
Thank
couple
you.
questions. What about biofilms hiding the parasites?
All right. Well, a biofilm is a concept where they create a colony, sort of like circling the wagons in a sense. The microbes will create a layer of mm, mucus and whatnot that will allow their colony to survive. It's more about microbes rather than the bigger ones, like microbials at the single cell level, rather than something more complex like worms.
Okay. All right. So he follows up with, how do you know if it's inflammation or parasites?
Yeah, indeed. Here's the list of problems: bloating, itching, nervousness, anxiety, skin rash, tiredness. All of that can theoretically be a symptom of a parasite, but you don't know because you can be just tired, or you can be just bloated because you ate something wrong, or you can be Whatever.
Right.
Teeth grinding is an interesting one. That's one of the symptoms of being infected with parasites.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was stress.
Well, and so now which is which, right? Yes, stress, and is the source of your stress the parasite?
Interesting. So he follows up that with, do you carry a supplement that reduces colon inflammation?
Glad you
And he,
asked.
and he also asks, do you have a supplement that you would use for parasites?
Well, wouldn't you know it? That's why we're here. We're trying to sell you a bottle of Parasite Cleanse. Indeed. Well, honestly, we do have tools for this. So,
Let's
well,
talk
are we going
about
to
it.
talk about it now?
Yeah, let's talk about a couple. We usually go through it really fast because we wait till the end, but let's talk about it now.
Okay. Well, so there is stuff that is bitter, stuff that is astringent, stuff that's kind of awful, hard to eat, is also hard on parasites. So the list of ingredients in these typical things will include wormwood. Where did that wormwood get its name? Wormwood. Well, it's the most bitter thing you can find. It's the same stuff that absinthe is made out of. Bitter as hell. Cloves, very aromatic. Black walnut, pungent, awful smelling stuff. Garlic, even worse. Oregano. I mean, try to just take a swing of
Oregano is
oregano.
so hard.
Right. And then some
I don't
other
have a
thing.
bottle here.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah. Anyway, those are the typical ingredients that are included in any antiparasitic formula, of which we have, for example, we have this thing called vermifuge, which is something that, there we go, that is a herbal tincture. So it's alcohol extract, comes as drops, and this thing will kill the living, but not the eggs. So you need to take that in cycles around the new moon and around the full moon. And you want to take it about 2 days before on the day off and 2 days after. So a 5-day, a 20-drop dose 3 times a day for 5 days around the new moon and then around the full moon. And go like that for 6 times, 3 full cycles. And the reason you're doing it that way, is because you want to kill the adults. And you will miss the eggs that they already laid. So when they're born, you need to kill those. And you're hoping to kill them before they lay another generation. So it takes a few cycles to run through it, but you will be dewormed.
Cool. And before we get into another product that we have that will do this a similar job, what are the chances that someone does not have parasites?
Small.
Very, very small, right? So
I'll share a story. It was 2010. I was in London, UK, and I was at a trade show. We were spending, I think, 7 or 8 days there. And I met a fellow from Kiev, Ukraine. Back then, it was Ukraine by itself. Anyway, he came with a Russian machine, and it was a scanner, and he offered to give me a scan. So he said, yeah, okay, here are your strengths, here are your weaknesses and whatnot. And then he said, and now I'm going to tell you how many parasites you have. Plugged me in, and it was straps on the hands and foot pads and whatnot, and ran it and said, there's something wrong. Let me reboot it. And rebooted it and ran it again. And then he said, you are the first person I've ever scanned who has no parasites. Explain.
Wow.
And I said, I've been on Exula strata flora for years.
So let's talk about Exula strata flora.
Right.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, that thing has been made tongue to tail. Everything that happens between the mouth and the anus, we want to take care of it. So there are enzymes to help you digest. There are things that will soothe your gut. They will strengthen your stomach, that will cut up the parasites, enzymes that will disconnect their heads from the rest of their bodies. It's just some really brutal warfare that we put in there. Yeah,
Nice.
something to treat your liver, something to help your pancreas, something to help you cleanse your blood. It's all in one. It's a big thing of 200 and something ingredients.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm putting the links to these in the comments. You should be able to see them there if you're interested in knowing more about them. We have lots of information and lots of studies that have been done that explain why we use what we use when we use.
Yeah.
And I think Zolben is another one we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we will. I want to just say that Strataflora is a concept of not a continuous supplementation, but of restoration. It's a self-colonizing system. So after it wipes out what it needs to wipe out, it seeds the garden and supplements it. As long as you stay on some other Exula superfood after you do your Strataflora run, you will have enough fiber. These things are called oligosaccharides, which is fiber that's less intense than beans, but just enough to feed the microbes.
The good microbes.
Yeah, it feeds the microbes within so that they maintain this strength. The elbows and the fists, they just maintain the health of the organism within.
So what we're really talking about is if you had a very healthy forest, it has bushes, it has trees, it has flowers, and it keeps all of the weeds at bay, so to speak, right?
Right. You can think of it as some kind of a native, well-organized environment, ecosystem. That's the word.
Yeah, ecosystem.
That is self-sustaining, right? Like a little invasion doesn't cause it a big problem.
So in a basically a normal individual, would you take a bottle every 6 months?
Yeah, that's about reasonable. Yeah, spring and fall, change of seasons. Yeah, when the snow melts and when the snow falls, if you're living somewhere where that happens.
Yeah. And then between it, we have a whole line of Exula superfoods, and you could take the iridescent, for example, as a good maintenance superfood.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the Zoiban.
Yeah, Zoiban is awesome because that is the one that does take care of the biofilms. So it deals with food cravings, biofilms, yeast, and the parasite and the likes. And it's pretty intense. That thing is oils, and so you might have a hard time swallowing it because it's got really strong flavors to it. You might need to use something like yogurt or something like that. But anyway, these are organic ginger, clove, oregano, and thyme oils.
Oh, wow.
And pine resin that's been steam distilled. And then there is berberine, the hydrochloric acid, HCl, and gentian. Gentian is one of those awesome high mountain plants that is very, the plants that live in very difficult environments, they bring into themselves a great deal of intensity because they have to survive harsh climates. So gentian is one of those things. And then all of that in a base of pumpkin seed oil and vitamin E. So
wow.
All of that put together. And you would want to take it in small amounts to get used to it first, and then finally hit it hard once your body accustoms to it. And we have the instructions on the website if you want.
Sure. And the last one that we wanted to talk about was the Quicksilver Scientific Crypto Comax.
Oh, yeah. That's a new arrival. Cryptolepis is a plant that's, I think it's from Egypt or something like that. And that thing is actually good enough to deal with, what's the name of it? Lyme disease, right? Like Lyme is something that allegedly gets into us with
ticks and stuff.
Ticks and the likes, right? Like creatures that will puncture your skin and leave something behind. So that goes well beyond swallowing things, right? Like when I swallow
Right.
something, I have my digestive system able to fight it. But this here is direct assault. They actually drill a hole into my skin defense layer and leave something right in the blood. And that is not very good. And it's
That's
hard
tough.
to
Yeah.
overcome. So this, we have Cryptolepis, which is a plant itself. We sell the Cryptolepis by itself. And this Cryptomax or Cryptoco Max is a blend of artemisinin, which is from the wormwood plant, and the Cryptolepis, which is like immune lift. And finally, a very famous antiparasitic called Japanese knotweed, known as Polygonum cuspidatum, if you want it in Latin.
Wow.
Anyway, that darn thing has stuff in it like resveratrol and other substances that are attacking. No, let's say it differently. It strengthens the defense systems. It makes your body way more resilient to all of these, they call vector-borne illnesses. And the vector is something that shoves it in. So that's the Cryptolepis or Cryptocomax. So that's for things that, well, to hit on it, it's primarily for the stuff that's more microbial and more insidious. Like, well, the names, well, Lyme disease co-infections, right? Bartonella and borreliosis and stuff like that.
Right.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah. Nasty.
okay. So just to summarize the 7 warning signs, we talked about them briefly at the beginning. If you've got unexplained fatigue, parasites are going to deplete your energy. If you have digestive issues like bloating, diarrhea, constipation, could be something that's caused by a parasite. If you have rashes, eczema, hives, that could be a sign of parasites. If you put on weight all of a sudden or you lose weight all of a sudden,
Yeah.
that can be parasites. If your
Yeah.
mood is acute anxiety or depression, definitely check out your gut health and your parasites.
Yeah.
And sugar cravings, like parasites, they love that sugar, don't they?
Yeah. Especially the fungal ones will totally mess with you. Like if you have candida overgrowth in the gut, it will make you nuts. It will force you to seek out carby foods.
Yeah. I know. The 8 o'clock some nights, not so much lately, but I remember I'd open the doors, look in all the counters,
hunting.
knowing that there's nothing sugary or cookies or anything.
Yeah, but you're hunting for crumbs. Yeah.
Hunting for crumbs. That's right. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah. Oh.
All right. Cool. So don't forget, in a couple of minutes, we're going to be over on Telegram, which is t.me/life&co. And if you're watching this when we're not live, you can still go there and watch the replays. We answer questions from the audience and talk about some things that we still would be censored or banned for if we talked on the major places.
Okay. I need to throw in one more thing, and that's this. Parasite infections deplete your available vitamin D. So if you are indeed having trouble with parasites, you need to raise your vitamin D dose. Like the normal dose is somewhere around 10,000 IU a day, which, of course, the RDA is nothing close to that.
Right.
However, well, you can improve the vitamin D receptor sites with nanosoma, which we do have available. So that's something that will absolutely make greater efficiency of all of the things that you have running in the body. But if you can't suntan to get your vitamin D happening in your skin naturally, you need about 15 minutes of full intensity sunshine on your body that's not been washed, because you need the skin oils
Right.
to manufacture the vitamin D. Right. Anyway, that's the story there. Get yourself some ultra UVA lights. Get suntanned.
Right. Right.
Or
Tanning is the
supplement.
cause.
Yeah, or supplement vitamin D.
There you go. Cool. Now, if you're interested in improving your health and you want to take advantage of Martin's extensive knowledge, he gives a free 15-minute consultation. You can go to this URL. It is in the comments, and sign up and
Well, you don't
get
need
a
to sign
chance.
up. Yeah, Scott, they don't need to sign up. Just call.
Just call. All right. Go to life-enthusiast.com. You'll see the number at the top. Call, talk to Martin, and let's see if we can't make sure that we're restoring vitality to you and the planet. The way that's our mission. So with that, Martin, we're at the end of our time together. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day. We're going to be moving over to Telegram in a minute. So thank you for joining us, everybody. We'll see you there. And next week, don't forget to join us. And we're going to be talking about, what are we going to be talking about? Fatigue and why you're tired all the time.
Now, listen, that's going to be the 26th of December, so the Boxing Day. So
the Boxing Day.
So I hope that you will take our show before hunting for stupid deals somewhere out there, buying electronic things that will only make you feel more miserable.
That's right. And probably if you've ate too much on Christmas Day, you'll be really, really tired, and you need to tune in to start making the changes so that long term you have a very healthy life. We're really concerned about the health of the nations right now. It's going in totally the wrong direction for very obvious reasons if you understand your health and your body. So with that, thank you, Martin. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you on Telegram right now.